Good morning, everybody. This is Liz Schote, registered dietitian and director of clinical nutrition here at Jackson Purchase Medical Center, and we're doing another Learning with Liz lesson today. So I was trying to think of what would be another topic to discuss, and I thought about, let's talk a little bit about inflammatory bowel syndrome, or irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS is that for short. I have noticed, I know several people who have this, and during this time of the year, a lot of times it kind of flares up. So I thought, well, I'll kind of talk a little bit about what we might could do with our diet to help maybe prevent from having any flare-ups with IBS or irritable bowel syndrome. So what it is it's a chronic or a recurring series of gastrointestinal symptoms that can happen with a person, and it's not fun at all. It causes abdominal pain, it can cause bloating, cramping, you can have constipation or diarrhea, either one of those things. It can cause a person to have a lot of gas. So is there things that a person can do with their diet to help prevent some of that? And actually, there really is some things that we can do. Stress sometimes is one thing that can cause IBS to kind of flare up. Sometimes we can't do anything about that. But with our diet, we can do some things. So just a couple of little helpful hints. Here's about 5 or 6 of them to kind of help you. So the first one is to try to establish some regular eating habits. In other words, try to eat our meals about the same time every day if we possibly can. That helps to regulate like our bowel movements and things such as that. Eat small meals instead of large meals, because if we eat those larger meals, that is just more food into the tummy, and then there's more food that goes to the colon at one time, and that can cause some issues. So maybe trying to eat maybe 5 or 6 small meals a day might help a person out. Eat foods high in fiber. I've talked about fiber before, but that is a huge thing that helps a person with IBS. So trying things like whole fruits, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, beans, peas, whole grain breads, whole grain rice. With bread, read your first ingredient to make sure that 100% whole wheat flour is listed first, so that way it has more of that fiber contained in that. If it's listed on down in the list, it may not have as much, because remember, when you read through a label, it goes from the most to the least in the amount of ingredients with that. When we eat more fiber, it helps the food to go through the colon quicker. So that's why it can help a person who has IBS. So that way that food's just not sitting in that colon. Very important to drink enough fluids. Water is very important for us. Fiber, what it does with our body, it actually draws water from our body to move the food through the intestine. So without having enough water and increasing our fiber, a person's going to become constipated. So you've got to do both of those things, increase fiber and increase your water intake to help that. And then also watch what we drink. Oftentimes alcohol and caffeine can stimulate the intestines, which may cause diarrhea. So it's kind of important to watch both of those things. Sometimes some of the artificial sweeteners like sorbitol or mannitol or xylitol that might be added to, say, sugar-free candies, sugar-free gums, things such as that, they can cause a person to have diarrhea also. Carbonated beverages can cause a person to have a lot of gas, so that in turn can irritate that IBS. So maybe be careful with your carbonated beverages. There's all sorts of things, like I said, that you can do, but increasing that fiber, increasing that fluid intake. There is a new type of diet out there called a FODMAP, which stands for, I have to read it because I don't ever remember what all those letters stand for, but fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols. Ooh, how do you like that word? They are short chain carbohydrates that are found naturally in some foods that we eat. Sometimes they may be poorly absorbed by the intestine and can cause IBS. Sometimes some people like to follow this type of diet. It's a very, very strict diet. If anyone would like any information on that, please just kind of drop us a note and I can send you some information on that. Like I said, it's a very, very difficult diet for a person to do. Sometimes people have success with it and sometimes they don't. So just kind of putting that out there. And, you know, even keeping a food log. If something bothers you, write it down. So Monday night, I had fried chicken and I had mashed potatoes and green beans, and my stomach really bothered me that night. Write yourself down a little note with that, and then you can see if there's a habit of things that bother you, and then try to avoid that. So those are just a few little helpful hints that might help you if you happen to have IBS. This is the strange little thing, though. I told a person about this yesterday. When the weather changes, oftentimes a person will have more issues with IBS or colitis, things such as that. It's just a strange thing that happens. No reason why, but it can. So try to be careful maybe with your diet during these times. I mean, here we are, going in from winter into spring, so a lot of people are having more issues with it. So, just kind of keep an eye on what you're eating. So if you do have any questions about what I've talked about today, please just kind of drop us a little note. Also, if you have any topics that you would like for us to discuss, please drop us a note about that too. So I hope everyone has a great day and just try to eat as healthy as you can. Thanks for watching.